Well, Liv, I wanted to delve more into the nitty-gritty of Lincolnshire Greyhound Trust and perhaps broader homing of greyhounds. But starting with Lincolnshire, how is the charity funded?
So the charity is independent, so we don't receive any direct industry funding, although there have been some changes recently which have impacted on that. So essentially we used to always charge £300 per dog coming in to the homing centre, and we would then also rely on donations. So it's funded by the goodwill of the owners that are placing the dogs with us, but also the public and those that donate to us, and the £100 donation that we get when we do rehome a dog too. Well, we ask a minimum of £100, but a lot of people are quite generous with that.
How much of a difference has the bond made to you?
We always charge £300 for the dogs coming in, and now we get £400 in. So we, have seen an increase by 25%. So that has made things better, certainly. And it's been really useful actually, because we've got a couple of dogs that are on long-term medication that have been returned to us, and with the help of our fabulous vet, Deborah Teo at Vets for Pets in Dagenham, she's helped us to manage those cases in an affordable way and given us a lot of, great opportunity to be able to continue to look after those dogs. And I think that extra income has allowed us to offer that, which has made it a lot easier for those that have got long-term health conditions to find good homes.
And it's so much better in terms of funding when it comes to homing greyhounds. I think there was a time where money was desperately needed, and that's when you and I jumped out of a plane to try and raise money.
That though.
It was an experience. But
Yeah.
Would you say now that awareness is more important than money?
Definitely. Of course, the money's important. You need the money to pay the bills, to look after the dogs, to keep the cogs moving. But essentially, awareness is really what we need. We need to get the word out there. We need more people to be aware of what great pets greyhounds make. There's a lot of pet owners out there, but they're not necessarily greyhound pet owners. So we need to convert the dog owners to become greyhound owners and just get the word out there so they know that they are the right choice.
For those who don't know, and they may have watched this and be surprised to know that you're actually licensed in the racing industry to trainer Dave Lee, so you're very much pro-welfare and pro-racing. How would you say things have improved in the industry in terms of welfare over recent years?
I'd say welfare is now at the forefront of most of what happens in the industry, which is great, and it's much needed with any sport or anything where animals are involved. It's never going to be perfect. We can always strive to be better. So I think we've made a lot of great strides. The injury recovery scheme has been great. The bond, again, has been really good. And there's, I think, a lot more... people are just more proactive now and more aware of welfare and actually what welfare means. Welfare doesn't just mean rehoming a dog at the end of its race career. Welfare is embedded in their day-to-day lives and everything that we do with them until they get to that point. So I think when we think of welfare, we used to previously revert and think of just the rehoming side, but that welfare is embedded in their whole racing life and their career, as race dogs, and then, beyond that and into their retirement.
And given those improvements, I think over the years in the past, the sport has had notoriously quite a bad reputation. Do you think that is justified now, or do you think people who are against the sport need to look at the changes and kind of reevaluate?
I do think people need to start thinking more about the dogs and not, their own agendas, because actually there's a lot of those that are against greyhound racing that actually just haven't had the opportunity to understand what's going on now and what changes have been made. And I do think that some of that negativity is unjust. I've worked in the vet industry for a number of years, and actually I think greyhounds are a protected breed. We follow them from birth to retirement, and there's somebody tracking them and aware of how many are born and registered and so forth. And there's a lot of great rehoming centres dedicated specifically to the breed that offer lifelong support for those dogs. There are not many other, there's no other breed of dog that has that. And I think we don't actually realise as general, the general public, actually how many pet dogs are not looked after to the standard that we would expect them to be. So actually, I think as greyhounds go, statistically, they're probably one of the best protected and looked after breeds of dog there are, which some would be surprised to hear, but you'd also be surprised to see what alleged pet owners and how they treat their pets.
I think one very common criticism of the industry is that there is too much racing at the moment. I certainly would be one that thinks that. For those of us who love the dogs, and most people watching this do and will, can you give any reassurance that the rehoming of dogs can keep up with the number that are retiring coming off the track? I
think, there is a lot of racing at the moment, and inevitably there's demand from the bookmakers, and you know there's some form of pressure in some ways to keep up that demand. We are seeing some 4 and 5 dog races, which I don't think is the end of the world. I do think that, dare I say it, we can, as an industry, well, as for the rehoming side of things, with you know a great dedicated workforce, we can get those dogs rehomed. However, it's not that. I think there are enough homes, there are enough pet homes there, and there are enough pet homes that are looking for dogs, but I think it's more of an awareness piece now. It's actually converting those to just general dog owners to making them greyhound owners. So I do think there are homes out there, but we need to get to those people. And
if I put you on the spot, have you got any ideas how we do that?
I'd love to see, and I know it would be really expensive, but then again, who watches live TV now with Netflix and on demand? But I'd love to see a lot more in the mainstream media about greyhounds making great pets, and I would love to see that in conjunction with some of the big bookmakers putting in and clubbing together, the GBGB being involved, you know, a lot of people supporting that, you know, directing people to a national place that links everybody to GRS approved homing centres, that then they can find an appropriate one in their area, because I do think we just need it in the mainstream media.
Totally agree. One thing that has been a bit of a shame is the split between the racing industry and a lot of homing centres. I know that's not the case with Lincolnshire Greyhound Trust, and you pointed out that's one of the reasons why you have the success you do, because that relationship is pretty essential. Definitely.
I think that it's really come to light and been very, you know, illustrated very well on the Your Greyhounds History Facebook page, where there are a number of greyhounds that are rehomed and people have no idea their true age, their name, or anything about those dogs. And I think this disconnect between those that are looking after the dogs and caring for them in their race careers and know a lot about them, and those that then take them on to find them homes, you know, it doesn't help anybody. It's not helpful, forgetting the dogs, forgetting the people. It's really not helpful for those people that have committed to taking them dogs on, for them new pet owners. Sometimes they find out their dogs are a completely different age, and they'd like to know the right information. Why are we withholding that information? Why are we not working together? It's not about people, it's not about personalities, it's not about politics, it should be about the dogs. So I think people need to step aside from that and just focus on what's important here.
It's been amazing to talk to you today, and I really hope that this in itself has drummed up a little bit of interest for anybody
Hopefully.
half thinking about getting a greyhound. So I just want to give you the last minute or so to put your sales lady hat on and tell those who are thinking about it why they should get a greyhound.
Well, they're very adaptable, as we've said. They are very placid, they're very affectionate, they're easygoing. Do you know what I think is really good about greyhounds? And yes, a lot of people do moan about the industry. You know, you name me a breed of dog that is as settled as they are. Why are they settled? Is it their upbringing? Is it the fact they've had a time to run around, tear around and be a puppy, as opposed to expecting to live as a domestic pet from the age of 10 weeks old and not get to be a puppy? Is it because they've been able to do what comes naturally to them and now they're ready to switch off? I don't know what it is, but they are... I just don't think you can fault them, and a greyhound would fit most home situations. As we've said, they can live with cats, they can live with the elderly, they can live with different breeds of dog. We've even homed one with a house rabbit 4 weeks after he retired. So I just don't think... I think you need to come and meet them and spend time with them, and they'll sell themselves. Whatever I say is irrelevant. I think you meet them dogs and then you'll decide for yourself, and I'm sure you'll make the right decision.
Just give them a chance, and we can certainly see Millie being settled in the background there, taking everything in her stride. Liv, thank you so much for talking to us, and
thank you.
As always, if this helps home just one dog, it will have been worth it.
It will definitely be worthwhile. Thank you
Keep
so
up
much.
the good work. Well done.
Thank you.